The lights of the studio burned bright against a set designed for confrontation, with an audience packed shoulder to shoulder, buzzing with anticipation as if they knew something seismic was about to happen. Tucker Carlson sat confidently behind, his polished wooden desk, his signature smirk intact, papers scattered in front of him like weapons waiting to be deployed. Across from him, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, walked in with calm precision, a simple white blazer draped over her shoulders and her hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail that framed a face set in determined composure. The air crackled with tension, the kind that could slice through silence, as Tucker greeted her with the type of politeness that hid daggers beneath every word. "Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez," he began, voice dipped in sarcasm. "Thank you for joining us. You're becoming quite the celebrity these days. Instagram videos, viral tweets. People seem to love your theatrics." A soft murmur rolled through the audience at the pointed jab, but AOC simply smiled, her posture straight, hands folded calmly on the table in front of her. "Thank you, Tucker," she said, her tone even. "But I think tonight people are tuning in because they want solutions, not theatrics." The audience applauded lightly, and Tucker's eyebrow arched, signaling the game was on. He leaned forward, his voice quick and sharp. "Let's talk about your Green New Deal. You want to completely reshape the US economy, ban fossil fuels, and spend trillions of dollars we don't have. How do you respond to people who say that's reckless? That it's socialism, disguised as environmentalism?" His voice was like a whip crack, meant to draw blood. And for a moment the studio was silent, cameras zooming in for reaction shots. AOC inhaled softly, her calmness unnerving, and when she spoke, her words flowed like water over jagged rocks. "Tucker," she began, "the planet is on fire. We're facing catastrophic climate change, rising sea levels, and mass displacement of communities, your viewers' communities. This isn't about ideology, it's about survival." She leaned forward, eyes locking with his, not in aggression, but in piercing sincerity. "You call it socialism. I call it investing in a livable future. And you know what's actually reckless? Pretending that doing nothing won't cost us far more than taking action now." A ripple of applause broke through, some audience members even cheering, but Tucker cut in, his voice rising slightly. "So you're saying every expert who's skeptical is lying? That families struggling to pay their bills should foot the cost of your fantasy plan?" AOC's smile was slight, but sharp. "No, Tucker. I'm saying those families are already paying the cost. Hurricanes wiping out homes, heat waves killing crops, wildfires burning towns to ash. Those families deserve leaders who protect them, not gaslight them." The audience erupted louder this time, and the camera cut to Tucker's tightened jaw. He shifted his strategy, eyes narrowing as he searched for an opening. "You talk a big game about caring for the working class," he sneered, "but you're a champagne socialist. You went to an expensive college, you live in luxury, and you lecture Americans from your ivory tower." His words dripped with venom, but AOC didn't flinch. Instead, she paused, letting silence stretch like a taut wire, commanding the room's attention. "You mean the working-class kid from the Bronx who bartended to pay for school?" she said slowly, her voice calm, almost incredulous. "That's your ivory tower?" The audience gasped, laughter bubbling up as Tucker's expression faltered. She leaned forward, voice dropping to a razor-sharp whisper picked up perfectly by the microphone. "I represent people who've been ignored, mocked, and dismissed by elites for decades. And if you want to call me an ivory tower socialist, go ahead. Because every time you do, you remind them that people like you are terrified of people like us." The audience roared, clapping and cheering, some even standing, as Tucker shifted uncomfortably in his seat, trying to regain control. "This isn't about me," he snapped, voice raised now. "It's about facts, Congresswoman, not feelings." The room quieted instantly, sensing the tension spike. AOC nodded, her composure like steel, and spoke with measured precision. "Facts, Tucker. Here's a fact. The 10 hottest years on record have all been in the past 2 decades. Another fact. America's richest corporations are posting record profits while workers can't afford basic health care. Another fact, you and I are sitting here debating while entire towns are being destroyed by floods and wildfires. Her voice grew firmer, each word landing like a gavel strike. You say I'm emotional. No, I'm empathetic, because facts without empathy aren't wisdom, they're weapons. The studio fell silent, except for the hum of the lights. Even Tucker seemed momentarily stunned, his trademark smirk replaced with something closer to unease. He glanced at his notes, then back at her, his voice quieter now. So what's your solution? Ban everything. Restructure every company. Force Americans into submission? His attempt at regaining footing sounded almost desperate, and AOC tilted her head, slightly, her expression softening, like a teacher correcting a student. No, Tucker, she said gently. We inspire Americans. We lead. We invest in clean energy, create millions of jobs, and finally put people over profit. We do it together because real change doesn't come from fear-mongering on cable news. It comes from courage. The words hung in the air, and the audience broke into thunderous applause. Tucker tried to interject, but AOC kept speaking, her voice rising slightly now with conviction. You call this socialism because you want people to be afraid of it. But when their homes are underwater, when their kids are choking on smoke, fear won't feed them or save them. Bold action will. Leadership will. Cameras zoomed in on her face, capturing the fire in her eyes, and the reaction shots of audience members nodding, clapping, and whispering to each other told the story. This was no longer Tucker's turf. He sat back in his chair, adjusting, his tie, his smirk returning but faltering at the edges. You're quite the performer, he said, almost as if conceding ground. You've got your sound bites ready, your audience primed. AOC's response was soft but devastating. If telling the truth feels like a performance, maybe you've forgotten what leadership looks like. Gasps filled the room, and the camera zoomed in on Tucker's face as he blinked, momentarily speechless. The clip, unbeknownst to them, both, would be trending within minutes, the moment frozen in time. Tucker Carlson silenced by Alexandria, Ocasio-Cortez's calm, cutting words. The debate raged on for another 20 minutes, Tucker hurling accusations, AOC countering with statistics, historical context, and unwavering composure. Every time he interrupted, she paused, letting him talk himself into a corner, then dismantling his points with surgical precision. The audience, initially split, began leaning heavily in her favor, their applause louder, their cheers sharper. At one point, Tucker accused her of being anti-American, and she replied, "If loving my country means fighting for every American to have clean air, affordable health care, and dignity, then I'm guilty as charged." The studio erupted. Tucker's frustration was palpable, his questions turning repetitive, and AOC's responses increasingly confident, until she delivered the line that would cement the debate as a viral sensation. "You see, Tucker," she said, leaning forward with a calm smile, "people like you thrive on chaos because calm scares you. Calm means clarity. Calm means the truth cuts through the noise." She turned slightly to the audience, her voice lowering to a cinematic whisper. "And calm is how you win." The audience leapt to their feet, clapping and cheering, Tucker trying to hide his irritation behind a tight smile. The moderator, sensing a knockout moment, wrapped up the debate, thanking both guests. As the credits rolled, Tucker flipped through, his notes furiously, while AOC stood, shook his hand with grace, and exited to a roaring ovation. The clip was online within minutes, captions reading, "AOC shuts down Tucker Carlson," and "Calm versus Chaos, a masterclass." TikTok creators remixed her lines over dramatic music. Twitter exploded with hashtags like "Sile Calm is Power," and late-night hosts replayed the exchange in awe. Within hours, it became a cultural moment, not just because of what AOC said, but because of how she said it. She hadn't shouted, hadn't matched Tucker's aggression. She dismantled him piece by piece with elegance and poise. By the next morning, news outlets were covering the debate like it was a sporting event, headlines declaring AOC the clear winner. Carlson attempted damage control, releasing a statement claiming the audience was stacked and the debate edited for drama. But the internet wasn't buying it. Comment sections were flooded with praise for AOC's composure, her message resonating deeply with viewers who felt exhausted by constant political chaos. She had done more than win a debate. She had created a blueprint for a new kind of leadership. One rooted in truth, empathy, and grace under fire. And as her team released a statement thanking viewers for their support, AOC herself stayed quiet, letting the viral moment speak for itself. Because sometimes, in a world addicted to outrage, the loudest mic drop of all is calmness itself.